time is drawing nigh. Children, don't get weary. Children, don't get weary. Children, don't get weary till your work is done.
G'day. A few weeks ago I recorded a song. Essentially the whole thing was recorded in the bathroom. I've recorded guitar and ukulele, resonator, various percussion, hand claps and shakers and things. Sitting in the bathroom with a dynamic microphone, trying to capture something of the room sound with the tiles and the mirrors and whatever. I recorded the vocal outside of the bathroom, but I've run the vocal back through a speaker in the bathroom to capture the room reverb. So this mix has no additional spatial effect on it, so that the only reverb effects you can hear are from the bathroom. So this is a bit of a run through of the multi-tracks for that recording, with a bit of an overview of how I recorded it. The original recording was done using a dynamic microphone. I used an SE broadcaster, which is, it's really a podcast mic, a broadcast mic, but I used it for the recording of this material because firstly it was just here on the desk, and secondly, it sort of suited what I was trying to do. I used a Martin backpacker guitar, again because it didn't have a lot of bottom end and it wasn't particularly boomy, which I thought would work better in the bathroom environment. And the ukulele and the resonator, both of those, all three of those guitars and ukuleles, the string instruments, were close mic'd, just enough to get a little bit of the room sound in there. It was managing it. It's being printed to the track, so I can't adjust it later. I've got to be settled with what I'm doing, and the sound of the guitars as well are pretty fixed as I'm recording them. So there's a little bit of EQ, but most of it's about high pass filtering and things like that. I think the ukulele, I'll bring it out a little bit in the mix by boosting the 1.6, 1.8K sort of range to make it stick out a bit more. But everything else is pretty much as I recorded it. So let's go through the mix and expand on that from there. So the bass rhythm of the track is this kick drum, which is a sample. Now, there's no reverb on that. It's a pretty clean sample sound. I've actually recorded myself. It's a couple $100 drum kit that I purchased during the COVID years to give me something to do, learn how to tune a drum kit, etc. So it's a $200 drum kit, and I sampled it. It sounds pretty good. You wouldn't think it was a cheap kit. All I've done on that is below 30 Hertz, clear that away, and dropped a little bit at 100 to make room for some of the bottom end of the guitars and things. There's no bass, so it sort of probably didn't need it, but I did it anyway. In the percussion section, I've got 10 tracks of claps. So they're physically me clapping in the room 10 times. I think I looped this in the end. I don't think I clapped for the whole 2 minutes of the song. So they're looped, but they've got I haven't quantized this in any way. There's a little bit of movement in there, which gives them a real sort of sound. And you can definitely hear the reverb in those claps. Anything below 350 I've taken out, so they're pretty fine. There's a lot more bottom end in those, so I've taken that bottom end out. I give them a bit of a light compression, 2, 3, not even that, 2 dB, just to even them out a little bit. And then some tape saturation, which is the J37 I use a lot. But it's really using the saturation knob. What is it, 6 dB saturation, 6 whatever it is, saturation. I don't do much else, just bring the levels up as required on the meter. That's the core of the percussion. There's some shakers that come in during the track that, where are we with those? I'll bring them in at the end here.
Don't you worry, brother, don't.
They're eggs, the old classic eggs, but I've got 3 of them, doing 3 at one time, just to give it a bit more body and variety. Note all the top ends off. 12K and 350 again, similar compression and the tape saturation again. The other shaker is a slightly different thing, and I did a slightly different pattern, but similar treatment, EQ and compression, and the compression, all the compressions do, it's evening it out, but it's also bringing out the room a little bit. You can hear the room a bit more when you do that, and they're fully panned left and right. The other percussion piece I use is the door in the bathroom, and I slam it, and just play that occasionally through the song. Again, high pass it to 160, and that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of compression, bit of a bang, level it out. So again, bringing out the reverb, and more tape saturation. So that's our percussion layer. Then I've got the backpacker guitar, and I played two lines of this. I've recorded the song in E, so the first bit is using the open E, the open top E string with a chord pattern on the 5th and 4th strings, and then the second guitar is using an E and D pattern using the 3rd and 2nd strings, really. So it's sort of completing a chord, but it makes them sound different, and then I'll pan those separately as well. But it's the same guitar. I think I've probably treated them pretty much the same way, but it's the core guitar, and then the second guitar coming in. So I'll play the core guitar is all the way through. Got the low first string E going constantly with an E and D chord pattern just on 2 strings above it. And then the other guitar playing the higher end notes of same chords essentially. Same guitar. I think that one's, you can hear that's a bit further off the mic, so there's a bit more room sound in it, a bit more reverb, with the two of them together. They work together, but they've got a percussive element as well. So with all the other percussion, and in the room space, you can hear the reverb building up and creating the room sound. The ukulele comes in between verses, and it's pretty much the same riff each time, and it sounds something like this. Now, I have, as I said before, I have EQ'd this quite a bit. This is a bit more woolly and rounded sound. I've given a bit more edge. As you can see, there's quite a chunk. What is it? It's 12 dB at 1K, just to give it a bit more edge into the track. The other thing I should mention, well, I've got compression on just about everything, but it's all pretty light compression. You watch that ukulele compression coming in. 1, 2, maybe sometimes, not a lot. And that's I tend to put compression on just about everything, unless I'm particularly wanting to create something with the compressor. I'm only just doing a little bit, just to take the top edge, the extreme fluctuations out of the track. And again, some J37 tape on that. And the other string instrument is the resonator, which comes in later in the song. And it's again, it's not that far off the mic, but it's getting a lot of the room sound in there. I'm taking a little bit of the top off and a little bit of the bottom, below 100, which is not particularly low. Compressor, again, you can see not a lot, just occasional peaks happening there, and then the tape saturation as well. And the tape saturation is really, for me, it's as much about the saturation effect as it is about the tape thing. It's just putting a little bit of extra harmonics in it that makes them a little bit more exciting and a little bit more fuller sounding. It's subtle, but I put it on just about everything. Yeah, so that's the band. Just a bit. That's essentially the band sound, and in hearing that, if I take the vocals out, that's the full band with no added reverb or delay or anything. It's just the sound of the band. So you can hear you can hear that they're in a place together. Because they're in the same room, of course, albeit played separately, but they're in the same room. You can hear that they're together, but they're not right in your face without any reverb. So I've actually found it quite interesting the way it sounds. It's good. So then there were the vocals. The lead vocal. Originally, when I first mixed this track, I didn't want to record the vocals in the bathroom because of the reverb effect of the bathroom would make editing and comping more difficult. So I decided I would record it outside of the bathroom. And at that point, I just thought, well, I'll just add a delay to it and see how that sounds, which is what I went with at the time. And that sounds something like, I'll play a bit of the vocal
Brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry.
So that's the dry vocal, and my pretty simple EQ treatment on the vocal is to shelve it to about 100, and then I take a lot of the below 500s out, and then give it a boost to 300, and that's all I've done really. Sibilants on there to just manage the S's and T's and stuff. I've got the RVox on as a compressor, and a bit of decapitator. It's a fairly high drive, but I'm only blending in 35% or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, is it 40%, 50, 60? I don't know. Whatever it is, 30%. So it's fairly well driven, but only blended in a little bit. If I bring the delay in, just so you can hear it, I have to make that active because I turned it off. If I bring the delay in, it sounded like,
brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry, brother.
And in the mix it sounded like,
brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry. See what my Lord has done.
It just adding effect. It was in keeping with what was happening in the bathroom in a way. And it worked for the track as it was at that point. But if I take that delay out,
brother, don't you
that's the dry
worry.
vocal. But then if I bring I ran the vocal back into the bathroom through a speaker, and then recorded that, which is this stereo track down here, the bathroom verb. So I've recorded it back into the project. I had a stereo XY set up in the bathroom, ran the vocal on its own through the speaker in the bathroom, and recorded it back into the project. And that on its own, that sounds like,
don't stop praying, sister, don't stop praying.
So that's my vocal through a single speaker in the bathroom, with an XY microphone set up across the room from it. That's a reverb chamber, or reamping the voice through a reverb chamber. With the vocal, if I can bring the vocal in.
Don't stop praying, sister, don't stop praying. See what my Lord has done.
And then with the reverb from the bathroom mixed in. In the mix, that sounds like this.
Brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry. See what my Lord has done. Sister, don't stop praying, sister, don't stop praying, sister, don't stop praying. See what my Lord has done.
So, some interesting variations there. I think I actually quite liked what the bathroom reverb sounded like on the vocal. So that's what you're hearing now. I've taken the delay off altogether, and we're just running with the reverb from the bathroom, from the reamped vocal into the bathroom. The only other component in the track is the harmony vocals, which I recorded. There's two choruses, and doubled them up. So, and stereo panel. There's only two voices, and you can't hear them because I've muted that guy.
Don't you worry, don't you worry, don't you worry.
And on those, same EQ, same sibilants. I've just copied a lot of those tracks over, essentially. Even Decapitator's the same voice, same microphone, different range. Sometimes a different mic can make a difference to how they sit. If you're doing multiple layers of vocals, you might want to put a different mic in and stuff just to give them a different colour. But for the purposes of this, I wasn't too stressed about that. I've got a chroma tape on that with a little bit of feedback echo. So there's 20%. So there's a little bit of echo on the harmonies from that. I haven't put them back through the bass room as well. Yeah. So for completeness, the rest of my mix, all of my tracks, I do mid-side processing on all of my finished mixes. But my mid-side processing is pretty simple. All I'm doing is on the sides, taking out anything below 100 is 120 on this one, and giving a bit of a boost at 6K and above, so that the sides have no bottom end, so it forces the bottom end into the middle, and the sides have a little top end sheen. You could put a bit more saturation on the sides and do stuff like that, but for my mixing, that's all I do. And then I run them into my mix bus, and on here I've got the BX Townhouse bus compressor, and that's not doing a whole lot.
Brother, don't you worry,
2 dB of compression. Then I've got the Abbey Road TG mastering chain, but I'm only using a bit of EQ and a bit of the limiter compression at the end, giving it a bit of a boost at 11K, 1 dB, 1 dB out at 360K, and that's it. And then for compression,
brother, don't you worry, brother,
what's that?
brother,
One or two, not a lot. Chroma tape, just nothing, not doing anything other than running it through there.
don't you
Giving it a touch of the red line. I'm using the black box analog saturation plugin, HG2, to add some saturation overall. And then I'm using 2 limiters. The first one is just taking a little bit off the top.
brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry.
Occasionally 1 or 2 dB. And then the final ozone. Using it more for this, so the true peak, and then another fraction at the top that comes up. So you can see the occasional drops. It depends on the song. Sometimes I'm going to be hitting that even harder. Equalizer, getting rid of that, anything below 30. What's that? A bit of a dip at 271, and a bit of a boost at 5.7. It's only 1 dB.
Brother, don't you worry, brother, don't you worry, brother, don't.
Just incremental bits and pieces towards the final mix. That's it. That's the whole shebang for that track. It's relatively simple in a lot of ways. The overall thing for me was getting the recording of it right, because the reverb's going to be printed in the tracks. So get the guitar sound that you want as you go. Get the sounds that you want as you go. Some of them are, claps and things, they just sound like they do. You might do a little bit of treatment on them as you go. And the vocal, the way I treated the vocal was to record it outside of the room, and then once I had a comped end-to-end take, run that back through the room to capture the reverb in that space. The treatment, the mixing process is pretty standard, I guess. Otherwise, yeah, there you go. Hope you got something out of that. Let me know if you've got any questions or comments. Like, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll see you another time. Thanks.
Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. The time is drawing nigh. Children, don't get weary. Children, don't get weary. Children, don't get weary till your work is done. Brother, don't you worry. Brother, don't you worry. Brother, don't you worry. See what my Lord has done. Sister, don't stop praying. Sister, don't stop praying. Sister, don't stop praying. See what my Lord has done. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Time is drawing nigh. Brother, journey soon be over. Brother, journey soon be over. Brother, journey soon be over. For the time is drawing nigh. Brother, don't you worry. Brother, don't you worry. Brother, don't you worry. See what my Lord has done. Sister, don't stop praying. Sister, don't stop praying. Sister, don't stop praying. See what my Lord has done. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Time is drawing nigh. Trouble and trial almost over. Trouble and trial almost over. Trouble and trial